dear friend, Edgar. Edgar is a tourist. He loves to travel and he's been to several places. I've asked him to join me tonight in order to talk about his experience and some of the questions that I have. Okay, so how are you, Edgar?
I'm doing good, thank you. Very excited for this interview, actually.
Okay, great. Well, let's begin. Let's start off. The camera already knows that your name is Edgar. Could you tell me a little bit more about yourself and how it is you became very interested in traveling?
Well, I would say that the number one reason why I started traveling is because I started working in a touristic place, which is Cancun. I grew up in Michigan, part of my life. I'm originally from here, from Mexico. However, since I started doing selling actually, vacations to people, experiences, so then I started doing it for myself. I come from a family that doesn't have a lot of the culture of traveling, but then that gave me the reason to start traveling myself. And I have to tell you, I mean, after the first time, I loved it and I keep doing it.
Sounds great. How often do you travel?
I try to do it at least once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah, I believe that traveling it's not just because of maybe fun, but also it's a healthy issue, I would say for me.
Like a habit, right?
Make a habit, exactly.
Okay. And I know I asked you how often do you travel, but normally do you like to travel inside of Mexico, outside of Mexico, or there are certain countries that you have on a bucket list, if you have one?
You know what, that's a very interesting question, because since I came from the States and I started living here in Mexico, I always wanted to like go back to the States, you know, try to visit more of the States or whatever. But now that I lived here and started knowing more of the culture, I started traveling. I started to do more traveling in Mexico, knowing my own country. And then, I mean, I have done one trip to Canada, to Quebec. However, I try to focus right now more on my own country because I like to know where I came from. Mexico is full of culture and a lot of good food, and every time I go to a different place, I'm amazed. So yeah, I would say I travel more in Mexico from now.
Okay, it's very. I love the answer to the question actually. It's very nice to think that way because most people, eventually when they think traveling, they prefer to go outside of Mexico and other countries that they have on their bucket list. But I think that it's also good to visit your own country to understand why your culture is that way or why we have certain heritage or traditions that our family members have passed down. In other words, when you travel, what is your favorite food actually, or your favorite drink?
Okay, well, when I travel, one of the reasons why I do it is because of the food, and it is because of the drink, and more importantly, to know, like, you know what I figured out, like the last years that I've been traveling a bit more in Mexico, is that every time I go to a different state of Mexico, I find that the food is different in every single state. Like here in Yucatan, the peninsula, we have cochinita pibil, salbutes, panuchos, we have a little bit of everything. When I went to Guadalajara a few months ago, I found that they have tortas ahogadas, which is a really good food. So like every time I go to a different place, I find that they have different gastronomy, and I love it. And the drinks as well, you know, like tequila in Guadalajara, mezcal in Oaxaca. They have many different things, and I love it.
That's great. Do you love to travel alone, or do you like traveling with somebody?
I like. Well, my last experiences have been with my wife, and I love it as well because we share many moments, you know. And I always thought that when you do something nice like that, you enjoy it, but you enjoy it more when you share it with somebody you love, you know. So like I really loved it. I would say with somebody. I like traveling with people more than alone.
That's great. What are some of the greatest memories that you have on your vacations?
Some of the greatest memories I have from vacations. Number one, the first one that comes up to my mind is my family. When I was back in Michigan doing some camping, and that was a great moment because, like I said, my family doesn't have lots of the culture of traveling and doing things like that. But that one day that we did this one trip, I think that was when we all went together. We rented a catamaran, we went on the lake and everything. Like, I try to make that happen because I've seen that on TV and movies, and I see how people share those moments, and I believe that's when the spark started. That's when I actually wanted to start traveling, doing things like that, and that moment, it's in my mind, and I would love to do it again sometimes.
That's great.
So I would say that's the memory I have.
Judging by the way you express yourself in your vacations, I can tell that you're a family man, that you probably believe in a family, which is something that we don't see in our society nowadays. So it's really nice to hear somebody express himself about that way, about his family, or about his wife, especially.
Thank you.
Okay, Edgar. Is there anything else you would like to share with us? For example, some of the greatest adventures, like I know you went to Guadalajara, was it? You went to test tequila, as you said. What is something that you did on that particular vacation that you liked, or whether it was to Canada or any other place?
Okay. Well, in Guadalajara, we took this trip. It's called. They're not paying me for this, by the way. I mean, this is a tip.
Well, they
for free.
should.
It's really good.
Advertising.
Advertising. I did the Jose Cuervo Express, which is this one train. This experience starts taking off from the downtown of Guadalajara. So what they do, we took the one that the train departs, that you take the train at a later time, because you can either take it in the morning or at noon. Okay? So in the morning, what we do, or what you do on the tour, you take the bus to Tequila, which is the town of a town in Guadalajara. It's a pueblo mágico, and that's where they have the factory of Jose Cuervo. So we went on the bus. They take care of you very well, drinks, everything, tequila for sure, and they also take you to this one place where they take care of the agaves, and they show you a bit of the process of how they cut it, how they make the tequila and everything, and then they take you to the town Tequila, right? And afterwards we took the train, it was a marvelous experience, because on the train as well they show you how to taste the tequila, make sure how can you know if it's a good tequila, not a good tequila, and so it's a more than a fun, like I said, experience. It's a bit more of an educated experience that you take when you travel, and we really liked it. It was good. The food was good, and we did many other things. We went to Tonalá, which is a place where they make a lot of the barro. They have a lot of clay sculptures, and it was amazing. I mean, I was surprised on the prices. The rates are really good. The things that people do over there, they're hard workers, and it's very, very inexpensive. So if I could, I would take a bus over there, fill it up with all kinds of clay sculptures, and bring it here to make decorations in my home. I wish I could do that. And there's also Ajijic. Ajijic is a place where there's a lot of touristic places. Let's say it's like Playa del Carmen.
Okay.
But Ajijic, it's full of people from other places that live in that one town. It's a pueblo mágico as well. It's very friendly. People are really, really nice. And also, what is it? Tonalá, Ajijic, Chapala, it's amazing as well. There's many different places. I was very happy with that trip. Quebec as well, Canada. I wish I could talk about all my trips, but I don't want to make you fall asleep, guys, because I have a lot of material.
I think you'd be very interested, I haven't gone to Canada. I visited a few places in the US and a few places here in Mexico, but tell me something that you did in Canada. I know people want to hear more about the snow personally from my classmates, and as a reminder. So what's something that you did in Canada?
In Canada for us, it was a learning experience in many different ways. The main idea was to know a bit more of the country, the people, because of course the place that we went is Quebec, so everything is more like it's French. It's a French colony. So first language is French, although most of the people speak English, but first language is French. And it also brought me back when I was living in Michigan because of the snow, the cold, and I forgot that you have to take care of the eyes of the glass of your vehicle. and all that kind of stuff. You know, the snow, the cold.
Did you build a snowman while you were in Canada?
Yeah, we did. It was very fun experience. Also, we did angels in the snow. You know,
Oh,
throw
yeah.
yourself on the floor, and so.
Brings you back the good old times.
Yeah. You know what? Also, like the place, I think that certain places have this certain smell, because when I got there, like it brought me back straight to the U.S. for some reason. I think it's because of the changes of the weather or something has to do with it. When like it's cold, the snow, the feeling around it, it has this particular smell. I'm not sure how to share it, but that's how it was for me at least.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your words. Definitely inspired me to go outside my territory. You know, eventually do something to learn. Like for example, an educational trip. You can take that as a vacation, or you can also see it as an educational trip.
True.
Thank you so much for your time, and my kindest regards to you, and Merry Christmas. Really love your Christmas tree, and thank you for your time and having us over.
Well,
Okay.
no, thank you. Thank you for me. I mean, it's a pleasure. I was very excited for this. And if I may, just right before we finish, let me ask you, what has been your number one experience on a vacation, if I may know?
Oh, God. Okay. My number one experience on a vacation would probably have to be during the past few years. My family and I at least try to make a big trip once a year to the Yucatan Peninsula. And some of the places that we've experienced as family has really been my favorites. Like after my grandmother passed away, we went back to her hometown and we learned so much more of the Yucatan culture. Okay, so my family is very Mayan. They have very Mayan traditions. So it was really neat to actually be in a town like that and learn more about it. And as a family, it meant a lot. So I think that was probably one of my biggest moments. And the second one, it would probably have to be when I was younger. Our trips to Chicago.
Right.
They were my favorites. I mean, we would go often, but they were my favorites. We would always play in the snow. My brother and I just used to love hanging out with the family.
Wow, that's amazing. You have to tell me more about that after this video.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you
Well, thank
for
you.
watching.